We all have the positive and we all have the negative. We all have the masculine, we all have the female. We're all goddesses and we're all gods. And we need to connect to that so that we can connect to each other. I think that our society today is being just pulled apart.
Voices of the Goddess.
Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Goddess, where brilliant women come to take a break from their successful and sometimes overwhelming lives to level up, live free, and create abundance.
If your hectic life has you feeling a bit lost, if you're building your career, brand, or business, or if you simply want to get the most out of life, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Julietta Wenzel, founder of Body and Soul PT and Soul Candy.
And I'm your co-host, Graciela Laurent, professional portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding.
Whether you're relaxing with a cup of coffee or running around town, we've got you.
Whatever you're doing, thanks for bringing us along and sharing a laugh.
Here comes the magic. So now I'm singing all the time on the show.
There's a welcome for you, folks. There's a welcome.
I do have to say, I do feel like I'm in a little bit of a goofy mood today, and I don't know where that's coming from, but
maybe your purple hair.
Yeah, and that was a thing because, my Estuardo is like in Greece and Turkey and all of that, and so I had to let one of his people do it, which gives me anxiety. Big time.
Let go, Julietta. Just let go.
I know. So anyway, I've been having this thing lately. Well, actually, it's come up a lot, and I just want to talk about it and get it off my chest.
Hash it out.
The whole spirituality ride. Sometimes what it comes up for me is oh, I'm not as far along the path as you are. And the other place it comes up for me is the people who think they're all high and mighty on their, I'm so evolved and I'm this close to enlightening. I might just go poof any minute now. And spirituality is not a competition, people. It's a journey. And it's not like a straight path. It's a long and winding road. And sometimes you're going in circles and all kinds of stuff. And I'm curious to hear your take on, because I've been on my spiritual path for a long time, and I see you, not that you haven't been on the path, but especially diving in deeper now with the Reiki and some of the other stuff. You got any thoughts on this?
I will tell you that my spiritual path has definitely been kind of like a spiral, starting way back from when I was very young, and it's gone through phases of, okay, I can focus on this now. And then, oh, I have to focus on this other thing now. And I can't do this right now, in my own head, right? Which is the story I told myself at the time. And then, so yeah, I've gone through a lot of evolutions and iterations and religious practices and spiritual practices. And I've tried and read so much over the years, I always say I was basically Baptist for the first 15 years, Catholic for the next 15 years, Buddhist after that, and, just keep flowing and keep learning. I will tell you my most positive and my most negative experiences. The most positive experiences have been the ones where I've been received as a novice with open arms. Those are the traditions and the paths that I now more easily understand that you can slide into, because someone held the door open for me in a very comforting and very non-judgmental way. The negative experiences I have had is walking into places and being like, oh, you don't know what that is? Or even worse, watching something happen, not knowing what it is, and the space not being created to let me ask a question and say, oh, but wait, why did you do that? Specifically, for example, like my experience within one of those religions that I won't name names so that people don't freak out. But one of those had a lot of traditions to go with it. And I never really understood what any of it was all about, but I was just following right along, and it just, and that's probably one of the main reasons I'm so disconnected from it, because there was stuff going on that nobody explained to me. So like, how could I attach to it? Right. And then I didn't feel safe asking, because I was like, oh my gosh, what if I'm the only one that doesn't know? Right. So I think that's really, I don't even know that so much of the spiritual snobbery is necessarily intentional as it is neglectful,
That's a positive way of looking at it. I've had the experiences too, not really ever said to me, but I've been in the situation where I wanted to share something with somebody and the other person is like, they're not ready for that yet. And I'm like, who are you to judge if they're ready or not? Like, let them have the information. And if they're ready for it, they'll absorb it. And if they're not, they'll ask questions or, they'll come back to it at a later time. And I do love that we are offering things, like cacao is definitely a spiritual practice. And historically, I've been to so many cacao ceremonies and very little explanation has been given about it and how it works and what, how to work with it. And so I love that we're bringing some of these practices to people and, explaining everything along the way. So it makes sense and it feels, none of this stuff should feel scary. Like when people tell me spirituality is scary, I'm like,
and pleasurable. I keep bringing up the word pleasurable, right? All of this should feel really good. Like that's what makes you keep wanting to do it again. I remember the first person who introduced me to cacao, I had never even heard of it. And it was a client, believe it or not, who came to me for a photo shoot. And she was like, we cannot do a photo shoot until you have had cacao. And I was like, what is, like, well, first of all, what is it? Is it psychedelic? Like, what exactly is going to happen? And she took her time to explain it to me. And then she handed me the cup of the most warmest, delicious, heartwarming, like just incredible. I was like, oh my God, I could do 100 photo shoots with this. This is amazing. And that was my introduction, and even from the day that she introduced me to it to when I actually started my own cacao practice, a whole lot of time had passed because I had gotten busy and I didn't know anyone else that was drinking it anyway. So I was like, okay, whatever. I forgot what it was that made me say today's the day. But I'm so glad I went down that path. But if it weren't for her telling me, bringing it to me and presenting it in a way that matched where I was at the time and what I was ready to hear, I probably would never have done it, right? Like had someone invited me to a cacao ceremony, I would have been like, I'm not going to something that I don't know what it is. Like, I'm not doing that, So being open, being non-judgmental about it, and kind of just the awareness, that sometimes people have questions that they don't want to ask, and so answer it.
I'm going to put it out there. I know for sure I am, and I think I can speak for you as well, is that we're always a safe space to ask questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of safe spaces,
let's bring on our guest.
Dun, dun, dun.
Welcome to the show. We know you very well, but we want our audience to know you very well as well. So can you please introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what keeps you passionate?
So hello, everybody. All you beautiful goddesses. I'm deeply honored to be here with you today. My name is Dr. David Lopez from Express Life Family Chiropractic. I am a chiropractor in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Our practice specializes in pregnancy and pediatrics, as well as very gentle chiropractic adjusting, and really using the philosophy, science, and art of chiropractic to impact our community around us. What keeps me passionate? Well, it really is the interactions that I have with my client base and the people around me. and the changes that I see in everybody, which is something that's very interesting for me because I historically struggled with change. And when I see change in people, when I see the energy light up in my clients and people that are getting adjusted in the office, and the changes they go through, that just fuels my passion to assist and empower everybody. There's just something incredibly fulfilling about being a part of somebody's journey of self-discovery, and it's just like keeps me loving what I do and showing up every day. I always tell my clients, it's like I enjoy what I do. It's like I'm always having fun. So like my clients are almost kind of like my friends in some ways, because at work you usually have friends and that type of stuff. Well, those are my clients because those are the people that I talk to day in and day out. And it's a beautiful journey just to see like people that have been with us for a long time, or even the new clients. They all are in different stages, but just to see the changes in them, just that's what keeps me coming back to it and keeps me waking up every day.
So I will say, I don't know if you even know, like, and I don't know if you mentioned this already, but David practices with his wife, Elaine, and the two of you really have had such an impact on me and my family personally. And if, I'm always quoting you guys, and I don't know if you know this or if you listen to any of our stuff, but I really am constantly talking about you guys. And there's a couple of things that honestly, I just want to gift you this knowledge so that you know what I've been saying. Because one of the first things that you said that was so profound to me was you were giving a talk about symptoms and, taking Tylenol or whatever. And you were like, okay, but you're turning off the alarm. You're not putting out the fire. And when you said that, I was like, oh my God, mind blown. Like I had never even considered that. It was just so powerful. And little things like that over the years, like you guys just drop these nuggets constantly. Like, I guess what I want to share is that it's not just the business of what you're doing. It's the growth in the community that you're creating, I know that my kids, Aiden, right? Like he knows, my son, they've been going since they were little. And a while back, Aiden was like, Mom, I think I need to go to the chiropractor. And I'm like, you do? What's wrong, buddy? Does something hurt? I'm like ready to mom diagnose, jump in, right? And he goes, no. He goes, I feel good. I just want to feel like really good, And how great for him that when he thinks of feeling really good, he thought about chiropractic care. Like, that's incredible. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, and that's really heartwarming for when we see that, and when we see families that are connecting and they're happy and they're evolving through chiropractic care. It takes time, right? That expression of him didn't happen overnight, and not only that, I commend you for being such a great mom that not only took your kid to chiropractic care, but also like really took it upon yourself to create the best human being that you can, and it's an ongoing process. So I always tell to my clients, this is a way. This is all part of it. We have to engage in all parts of it when we're raising kids, and the proof is in the pudding, because I've been raising a little baby for the past couple of months now. It's just a year and a half and some change, and it really like shines a light into that journey for me. To really see it in my child day in and day out has definitely given me a greater perspective, especially with dealing with children and families, because I'm also a part of it now. And that's definitely given me like a bigger tool to see a bigger, like I want to say lens to see the whole thing.
There were a couple of things you talked about that as a physical therapist really struck me. One being, you talking about your clients become your friends. And, in my practice, I see that as well. But it's something, I don't know if this is true in the chiropractic world, but like we were taught, like we are not to have personal relationships with our clients. Like you have to keep very firm boundaries, and, you are the practitioner and they are the patient, and these lines cannot be exactly. I'm like, I even remember way back in the day, it was like a big thing in the office that one of our therapists started having feelings for one of her patients, and they actually like went out of their way to get a new therapist for the patient. And I mean, like, okay, if that's what everybody wants and to be comfortable with that, okay, fine. But you know, part of what makes, I think, your care and my care so special is that, like, we really truly care about the people that are on our tables, and we need to have relationships with them, and that's part of what makes the work so special.
Well, I think that one thing with that is that obviously in the training, right? They are training us to be, you know, a standard, right? A standard of care, right? And I understand the value of it because it's really easy, and you know, most people may not realize this, but it's really easy for a practitioner to get sick, right? It's something that that we don't often consider is that a practitioner can get sick, and it can get sick from your situation. I didn't want to curse the person. But definitely when we're dealing with all these symptoms that people have, when we're dealing with the diseases that people are going through, it's a hard experience. I experienced it myself when I was younger. I was in a lot of pain, and that's what brought me to chiropractic. And I can tell you that it's very disheartening. And very often we look at doctors, we put them in a pedestal, right? We put them in a, like they're like something way beyond us because they went into, you know, college and they pass all these tests and they have so much knowledge in there. And yeah, there's a part there. But the issue is that if we don't train well to be able to have our boundaries well set and to really not absorb people's energy, not absorb people's feelings, you get home and you're like destroyed and you don't realize what's going on. And it's like, well, your boundaries were not up. You're not really like in tune spiritually with yourself. So you're just letting all these symptoms kind of get into you, and all these ideas and all these feelings. I couldn't even imagine for like therapists, like mental therapists, right? Like it's way harder for me to deal with a client that just kind of starting over, like actually like talking through their case. I'm explaining everything. That's a lot harder on me than actually the adjustment that I do on the table. The adjustment is for more the fun stuff for me. I enjoy that part. The other part, you share a lot of information, a lot of energy, and it goes through you. And sometimes I go through a day when I'm adjusting all day, and I'm like, boom, 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 and I get out of there, and I'm energy, and I'm excited. I have my boundaries set up. I'm great. Now, then I have another day when I'm doing report findings, new clients, reassessments, which means that I'm doing one-to-one conversations with my clients. You know, we're going through their struggles, through their successes, and just sometimes it's success, sometimes it's struggles. We kind of have to see where it is. But whether it's successes, struggles, wherever they're at the end of that day, I'm pooped. I get home and I'm exhausted. And then I really have to look at myself and see, okay, well, what's where am I with these boundaries? Where am I doing that? So I think that the educational process, they're trying to protect you from that. They're not really understanding this. They're not really understanding that there's a way to get boundaries with people and still become a human being with them. Because I think that that's what's going to get us to healing quicker. If I am a robot that's just giving you symptom relieving things, and I'm just kind of giving you, well, this one didn't work, let me give you another one. Let me give you this one. Okay, that didn't work. Let me give you another one. Let's see if this one works. Then, like, I'm not tuning in with them. I'm not being real. I'm not being a human being. And I think the big part of healing is that we are all interconnected. And that creating that connection with people actually sets the stage for healing to occur. That's why we look for practitioners. And that's why I always tell my clients, it's like, listen, I may not be the chiropractor for you. You know, you may not like me, you may not like my beard, or you may not like the way that I talk. That's okay. I'm not here to be liked by everybody. There's a lot of people that are going to like me, right? And those are the people that I want in my practice because I can help them. If you don't like me, it's going to be really hard because I put a lot of work into it. I put a lot of work into your case, and I want you to do well. But at the end of the day, healing is up to you. It's up to us. So, I can guide you, I can show you the door, but you're the one that has to go through it. So I think that there's a big discrepancy when it comes down to practitioners really understanding, okay, that's what we learned at school. That's great, but we are human beings and we have to be humans. We chose to be here in this profession. Let's actually give everything that we can.
I think it's so powerful what you're saying, and I had a personal experience of that when I was teaching high school English. I had no idea what protection was. I didn't know how to not become overly involved in my kids' lives and take all of that home. So imagine I would see 200 kids a day and I would take home 200 energies a day. So by the end of the day, you're absolute trash, I hear you. Like, that mental exhaustion is like, it'd be way easier to be digging ditches than it is to sit there and have that energy exchange back and forth like that.
Sorry, there's people that I don't envy. It's teachers and personal trainers. Wow.
I will tell you, when I start, and again, you guys, honestly, you and Elaine were the first ones to really point out to me about protection practices and things like that. But, it was recently solidified when I was doing all my Reiki work. And, step number one is build this protection around yourself, and I found that the more I put a conscious energy into that, the more I'm able to show up for my clients, right? Because I'm not scared of hearing their stories because I'm afraid I'm going to absorb it. Now I approach my things more like, I know that I can hear everything that you have to tell me and be here for everything and be your, the person to hold that space for you, because I know I'm protected, because I know I'm not going to absorb it, and that's a really big, important part of healer self-care, right? I mean, that's how you guys get through, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell my clients, it's like, I don't just get adjusted, right? I get adjusted very frequently because I'm under an incredible amount of stress just being in just seeing so many clients, and I work out five times a week, and I'm always I got to do it for my physical ability. That being said, just really concentrating on the energy part of it, it's really where it's at. I had to practice very much like going to the gym. Historically, I was not a very connected human being. Definitely growing up, I was not a very connected human being. I didn't understand this world that I was introduced to, thanks to Elaine, right? Thanks to my wife, who really like stirred me and moved me down that area. And it was really when I met one of my mentors, Dr. Susan Rossi, that I was able to really access those higher levels of consciousness. And she was a goddess. I mean, may she rest in peace. I mean, she was definitely a goddess, and she was, I think, the real first person that saw completely through me, right? And got like really into there. So when that happened, it was a big explosion for me, because I was always more of the rational minded type of person. I enjoy philosophy very much. I enjoy logic. I went through my bachelor's in Hispanic studies and philosophy. So it had very little to do with the medical profession in general, sciences and that kind of stuff. So when I get into this world of healing, and she really was able to see through me, it opened up those channels. And then what happened was that I think you mentioned something before I joined in. What was that? The energetic snobbiness. What was it? What do you call it? What?
A spiritual snob.
The spiritual snobbery. So I encountered and participated in a little bit of that, because when you have this really profound expansions and realizations, you kind of give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back, and you get like, hey, I was able to do it. And most people can't really do it. Ha 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 ha. I'm so spiritual. I'm in the fourth, fifth dimension. Whoa. And then my teacher stops me in my tracks and goes like, hey, listen, buddy, you're talking bullcrap over there. No. Where did you choose to live? You're here in the third dimension. Okay. So talking snobby about your spirituality is just another ego thing. So I want you to cancel that immediately. You can continue being who you are because you're a psychic person, you're a connected person. You just got to know it. You just got to feel it. You just got to be there all the time. When the reason why you start becoming snobby about it is because, you know, you think you're something greater than what you are. No, you're the same person. You don't have to change the way you talk. You don't have to. No, you can be the same person that you are and be a completely spiritual, connected, psychic person. And that was a big realization for me. She was the one that helped me get to where I am right now. And she's with us right now in this moment. So I thank her.
I'm actually, this is the first time I'm hearing this. I didn't realize that you didn't tap into this until later in life. Knowing you, I assumed it was a part of your life for very long.
Way later. I was like, men are reasonable, women are emotional, blah, 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 blah. All these rhetoric, that just things that you hear, right? And, you know, don't blame me. It's just media and the world and men and women, how we respond. You know, you tend to kind of form your ideas with what you learn in the moment, right? I just needed access to those teachers. And one thing that I recommend to everybody is that you need a teacher. You need a teacher. You need a regular teacher, like for the rest of your life. If you don't have those teachers, and you will be teachers to somebody else, of course, it's part of life. If we don't realize as human beings that all of us are teachers at some point in our lives, we're discrediting ourselves. It's really important to tune into that. But, you know, the quality of your teachers is going to be the quality of your teaching. And I strive to really find amazing teachers that I continue to talk to, and so they support me in this journey so that I can support everybody else.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great point that you made, that, you know, you're only as good as not good, but you only go as far as what you're exposed to, right? Like, if no one told you that this, and this, then you're going to believe that, and that, you know, like that's just normal, right? This is why we have like horribly racist 5-year-olds, because they don't know, you know, and guess what? They grow up and they just become grown-ups, right? Like, so someone has to be there to tell you. And I love that your mentor called you out on your shit. You can curse on this show, by the way. You can say whatever you want. But that someone loved you enough to say, look, man, look, focus, wake up. What's going on, right? Like, how beautiful is that, you know?
Yeah, she did like this. She kind of did like this in front of my face, and it was like, whoa, what is this? Like somebody shaking your hand in front of you, but no, it had a powerful experience for me. So yeah, it was amazing.
And tell me, you know, obviously, like, you don't even realize what an example you guys are setting, you know, because, you know, I just talked about Elaine the other day. Oh, I know. We were giving a talk, Juliet and I was like, you know, there's this one friend I have, and she's always on social media, and her husband are out there traveling and living their best lives. And every time I see her, I'm like, damn it, she's happy again. How the heck do I get that? I want to be happy like that. Like, look at these guys. They're just having so much fun. So it's like, even by just existing, we are examples and teachers and inspirations to others, you know? And now with your daughter, well, that's like super amplified. Wait till she looks at you the way you look at someone else.
Listen, she's the new teacher.
Oh, yeah.
She's the new teacher. She came to teach me. Every day she teaches me something.
She's only a year and a half.
She's only a year and a half. Yeah. She's definitely a special child. I'm sure every parent says the same thing about their child. But you can tell, like, there's just something special about her. We were in the pumpkin patch yesterday, and everybody kept stopping to see, like, oh my God, look at this girl. And it's like, hey girl, have you seen this? And it's like, and for us, it's like, wow, because that's what we see every day. But when other people see it, there's definitely a high level of energy. I don't know. she seems to be a pretty old soul.
Well, I will tell you that I don't know if you know the story, but definitely like she spoke to me because when I found out that Elaine was pregnant and I was telling my kids about it, and I don't know why, but I all of a sudden said, oh, her name is, I'm like, it's Luna something short. Anyway, and then I was like, I don't know, like how weird. Like, why would I even say that? When you guys had the baby and you announced that her name was Luna, I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I heard that. Like, and I don't consider myself like a super psychic, no-y, blah, blah, blah. But man, that girl was like, here's my name. You're thinking about me. Here's my name. I already know. That was incredible.
That's really powerful for sure. That's really
powerful.
So, because we can't not ask this question on the show. Graciela and I are making a goddess library full of amazing books. What book do you want to add to our library that you think every goddess should read?
It's tough for me because I am not the type of person that has a favorite thing. They always tell me, what's your favorite books? Like, dude, I don't know, man. Like there's all of them are a part of me, right? What's your favorite movies? Jesus, man. Like I can't say. That being said, I got some important books in my life. One of them is The Way of the Superior Man by debilitating. And I know that, this is a recommendation for the goddesses out there, but I actually think that all goddesses should read it. There's a female version of it. I don't remember the actual name of the book. There's a female version of that book, but it's like how to tune in to your real masculinity. Masculinity in this day and age has been just trashed, and we see that often I see videos on the fall of men and how men are dying and they're not really stepping up into like what a real man is supposed to be. So this book was a real eye opener for me because I was in that polarity pole from myself. I definitely was not the true man that I've become and that I continue to try to become. It's an everyday thing. You never stop, right? But that book definitely helped me understand really the main differences between men and women. Women have also changed dramatically in this day and age, and we're seeing a big issue because now it's even harder for men to connect with women in a deeper level. It's really hard for women as well to connect to men in a deeper level. So men are not, generally speaking, the type of humans that like to look inside and take a look into their heart, right? It's not something that's taught to us. It's not, we're not indoctrinated in that. We're indoctrinated in like, whoa, emotion. Oh, no, you know. So, you grow up not really connecting to that area. And then you use your examples in life. You use the men in your life that actually are, what you strive to be, right? And it's not always the greatest. So it's really important that men learn to really like look deep within them. But the problem is that we need a guide. We're not going to do it. And the other problem is that it can not be your wife either. Yes, the wife is the guide. So Elaine was the one that brought me to my teacher, who is the one that recommended this book. Okay. So inadvertently, Elaine was the one that led me to where I needed to go. And it really took something from her to be able to recognize that I had the capacity to become the man that I wanted to become. She had to see it, and she had to know that she really had to give me a chance, because at that point we probably would have broken up had she not steered me into that, looking at myself. And it's really thanks to my teacher that we ended up, I think we're going on 18, 19 years. She'll kill me. I don't, it's something around close to 20, close to 20. So, but it was really, that's what keeps me staying with her. They say marriage is forever. Well, marriage is forever, but you choose to do it every day. Tomorrow I can say I'm getting a divorce, right? So it's an everyday decision. And the reason why I keep deciding to stay with her is because of number one, the amazing human being that she is, and also how she's led me to become the person that I am.
I love so much about that whole conversation. I think it is important for women to understand like what a man operating at his highest can be, because what's happened out there in the world right now, like most of the masculinity that we see out there is not what it is in its highest essence. And the same thing for women. Like I got some feedback the other day that, because there is a lot of talk about the toxic masculinity that's out there. And it really is not a judgment on men at all. It's a judgment on the situation. And when we can all have a better understanding of what sacred masculinity looks like and what sacred femininity looks like, and this also doesn't really have anything to do with men and women, those are the genders. Masculinity and femininity are the energies, and we all have both of them. And balance also does not mean 50-50 to you people out there, but we need to create that balance in us of those highest qualities so that we can be ourselves. And when we as women understand better what that true sacred masculinity looks like, then we can support the men in being their higher selves, and vice versa, if you also understand what.
Absolutely, because in the case of men, right, we have things that we look for in women that are like, imposed upon us, right? What we don't realize is that it's they say behind every man there is a great woman, right? There's like this is saying that it's like really the woman is actually your channel to become who you're going to be, because we need that guidance to really become an amazing man. You need that guidance, and usually it's in the form of your partner, and it really is because we kind of gravitate to our mothers. Right, we gravitate to mom, and this goes for both men and women, really. Mothers are those creators, right? So we're always kind of going to gravitate in that realm. So having a partner that supports you in everything that you do and helps you become better, and also calls you on your shit, because you need to be able to be called on your shit peacefully, gracefully, just enough, because if you push a man against the wall, because they say between the sword and the wall, they're just going to fight back. They're just going to react. But if you know how to lead them, if you can become that goddess that can help guide the men, because we are attracted by the goddesses. We look for that. And then if a woman can get into that space, she barely has to do anything. She just has to be who she is, and and she's guiding us. We're holding onto that rope and getting to that sacred masculinity as well. So, that book really helps put it into perspective for both men and women. So I recommend this book for both men and women to read. In the case of men, to learn a little bit more about themselves. In the case of women, to learn about their men and how to lead them into who they're supposed to be.
The other thing, I'm like, we're close on time here, but the other thing that I think you said that's so important that I want to make sure that nobody missed it is, you were talking about yourself and that your relationship makes you better than who you are, but it also has to go the other way, that you make her better than who she is. And I think that is so important in any relationship, whether it be a romantic relationship, a friend relationship, a business relationship. If, I look at this with Graciela and I feel like Graciela makes me a better person than I am without her. And I hope that she, on some level, feels that I make her a better person than she is without me.
100%. 100%.
So, and if you want to know more about that, I have another website that I have not really talked about here, but because I haven't given it a lot of attention lately, but I do have a website called Love at Juliet, or www.julietta.love, where I have blogs about my passion about love. And one of them is called Relationship Math. And that 1 + 1 has to equal greater than 2 when there is a relationship there. So I just wanted to, you were talking about it, but very subtly, and I wanted to make sure no one missed that, because that's just a super huge important piece.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, oh, we have to pull that point out, because that one's such a good point of how it is symbiotic and how being our best selves lifts up the other person. And I also want to add another layer to this conversation, and I know we're doing a time thing, but this is so worth it, is that, I would like to free us a bit from gender roles as well, right? Because it's not just boys and girls, quote unquote. It's feminine, masculine energy balance and feminine, masculine energy balance, right? So this counts for everybody. It's not just a man married to a woman and that relationship, right? It's how all of these energies are showing up and what your partner needs to fully be their best selves, and so giving the other person the space to heal and grow and become, and like you said, being called out on your shit, like, sweetheart, I love you, but man, look, mirror, I just think it's so powerful and it's so necessary.
And it goes back to the initial conversation with providers, right? If we are not working together to become better, me as a provider and my client as the patient, if we're not working together, we're not sharing that energy, right? We're not accessing that polar opposite or the positive, the negative. We're not in that yin and yang kind of connectiveness, dissonance, right? Everything in life is frequency, vibration, and tone. It's the bottom line of everything. That's what we bring in our chiropractic adjustment every single time. That's how we assess everybody. We're looking for dissonance and helping the person connect to that so that they can play beautiful music. But it really takes both people, whoever they are, whichever identity they have, it does not matter, right? We all, like Julieta said, we all have the positive and we all have the negative. We all have the masculine, we all have the female. We're all goddesses and we're all gods. And we need to connect to that so that we can connect to each other. I think that our society today is being just pulled apart. It's being polarized. That book talks about that. How have we been ripped apart? And I think that there is an agenda. There's an agenda to continue doing that and continue separating people through their sexuality, through their sexual identities, through their political views, through their race. It keeps communities at odds with each other when we really have to be connecting to ourselves and seeing, what's happening in the world, because there's so many things going on right now that need our attention. But when our attention is on fighting each other, fighting our wives, fighting our husbands, our partners, our children, the educational system, the healthcare system, if we're fighting against each other, where focus goes, energy flows. We're just going to continue, creating that dissonance. We want to connect. We want to start becoming one with each other so that we can actually heal this world together.
Here's to making music. Thank you so much for being on the show, David. We love having you on. We love having men on the show. Don't let the title fool you. Please join us. Please participate in our Facebook group. Let's further this conversation. Be a part of it, and let's make music. I love it.
Thank you very much for having me. I am blessed to be here. I'm blessed to know you, both of you ladies. You're amazing, and you've empowered me to, get out there more as well and connect with the community. So you'll definitely see me around again.
Yay! Have a magical day, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today and keeping us in the top 10% of podcasts in the world.
Ask us how you can promote your business on this podcast as a sponsor, and make sure you check out the show notes for details on how to get in touch with Julieta, Graciela, or today's special guest.
We're sending you lots of love and gratitude. Have a magical day.